Alright, hello and welcome for the first actually numbered Backlog Weekly, that's what I'm gonna call it. And this time I have actually come prepared with notes. Hopefully this is gonna be a little bit better and more coherent. Got a whopping 4 lines of notes actually. So you know I've done my research. So without further ado, the main point here is of course going through what I've been doing the last week, and this week I've been playing just Dragon Age. Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma. The game from 2012, which I've been liking very much. And I made good progress. First of all, I finally got, I think it was Friday. No, Wednesday. Fixing up today's, yes, Wednesday. When I finally got to the point where I had left off originally. Like when I got the game, I played it quite a bit. I knew that I had played it quite far. Like, somewhere between 20 or 30 hours, but I imagined, I guess, that the game was gonna be around 50, 60 hours, and I lost interest. So I got back to that point. And it turns out that point was the second to last mission. And of course, that statement is not exactly correct, as I found out. But when I got to that point, I thought it was the second to last mission. Because at that point the game told me... Or actually I met the dragon. For the first time since the beginning of the game. I met the dragon, and the dragon told me to come look for it. And that became my new quest. It was go talk to some guy to ask what's going on. And go meet, fight the dragon. And so I did. The day after that. That was Thursday. Yesterday, yes. And I actually thought I would finish the game. And in a sense, I did get as far as I thought I would get, so I did beat the dragon. It was a really good, really interesting and done big fight that was sort of maybe flattened my excitement a little because my dad called in the middle of the middle of the scene. He had just gotten back home from a vacation, but it was still a very good scene. It involved a lot of, firstly, meeting with the dragon, and he gives you a choice. So I won't be going too much. Well, he gives you a choice on whether or not you can either make a deal with him, or you can try to fight him. And interestingly enough, if you decide to fight him, he will call you a fool, as you sort of might imagine. Dragons are a bit, a bit obnoxious in that way. But he also says that it's better to be a fool than something equivalent of a greedy coward, if I remember correctly. Not those words exactly, but something like that. So you don't take the deal and get some money and fame, I guess he offered you, essentially. But then you have to fight him. Pretty much, first of all, you have to run away from him. Then you have to fight him a bit. Then you have to chase him. And then you have to fight him a little bit more. First in a cinematic scene, and then you actually get to do a proper big fight with him. And after you do that, well, I imagined the game would be over. But it turns out it's not. It still continued after that. And oddly enough, the things didn't really get better in the world of Gransus after that. Everything sort of went to hell. Half of the city, for one, Grand Soren it was, yes. Half of the city of Grand Soren just fell into a big hole in the ground. And all sorts of monsters came out of there. So for one thing, that game definitely did give me more challenge than I had been craving at that point. Because all of the regular enemies, like even the big ones, Chimeras, Cyclops, they were all getting really easy before the dragon fight. But now, after I beat the dragon, there's now black Chimeras, and wolves have turned into hellhounds, and harpies have turned into succubuses. And the biggest problem of those things is actually, I might think black Chimeras, because those are the big enemies, but hellhounds. Hellhounds are crazy. Hellhounds are just crazy. I will actually put a highlight of that at the end. You will sort of get to see. Now they're not too bad as long as you're prepared, but at first, because there's one big addition to them that changes them pretty much functionally from the regular wolves. Besides there being stronger versions of them, they can also shoot explosive balls of fire, which can really mess you up. But yeah, so essentially I did not beat the game that day. Yesterday, yes. Didn't beat the game yesterday. But I'm very close. There is now... After you come out of there, you're supposed to go meet the Duke. You meet the Duke, there's some things going on there. And pretty much he blames you to be a traitor. Because, you know, bad things happen to him. He sort of loses his vigor and his youth. Because I'm guessing he made a deal with the dragon himself. But he's essentially gonna blame you for making a deal with the dragon as well. And he's gonna accuse you of treason and you have to escape. Of course, 5 minutes as soon as you escape the place, you can just go back in and everything's fine, but hey, that's video game logic. But more importantly, the big hole in the ground is actually the Everfall in the start of the game, and you will have to go around that place. Apparently you have to collect 20 wave stones. That's pretty much what I had to do next. And I've been told, I asked about this a little bit from the chat to make sure, because I wanted to make sure first of all that it is actually story based still, that I haven't beaten the game and doing some endless extra stuff. And indeed, what I was told, you collect the 20 wake stones, and after that you will get to fight the actual last boss of the game. And whatever that's gonna be, I don't know. But it certainly wasn't the dragon, oddly enough. The dragon, I will just say, is a really interesting character in the game. We'll say character, because of course you rarely, especially since you barely even meet it ever. In the start, when it speaks some ununderstandable language, you don't understand what it says really. And later on, it will actually speak English, and he has a very good voice actor too. At least I liked it. But he actually doesn't come off as evil at all. With all the, you're a fool, but at least you're not a greedy coward. He sort of applauds you for the for the foolish bravery that you're showing. And when you beat him, well, first of all, he dragon forces all of your stuff, so makes it into the best tier of armor and weaponry you can have, besides the beat up like idle stuff. And second of all, he gives you, based on your character class, he gives you a new set of weapons, which are pretty much the most powerful weapons in the game. And most importantly, of course, he sort of feels glad. And I think he said something about you bringing new hope to the humanity. Or bringing hope to the humanity by killing him. So yeah, still don't quite know what that was about, but Dragon was certainly an interesting character. And that's pretty much been all that's been happening in my gaming so far. Now I've also recently, I think it was about last week, I reached 200 followers on Twitch. Which may not sound like a lot, but for me it was great. And I've decided that my special is gonna be, going back to my roots, you could say. Going back to the first game that I streamed, which is Scrolls, the Mojang collectible card game, or trading card game, whichever you prefer. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I was actually thinking about doing it today, but I've been feeling really tired. I haven't been going to sleep on time and stuff like that, so that's been a problem. So it's not gonna be today. We'll see. I may do it over the weekend. Maybe Saturday, maybe it's gonna be next Friday. We shall see. It's gonna be Sunday. Can't really point it out, but it's gonna be Scrolls pretty much. And that has been everything that's been going on this week. So come back next week. We're definitely gonna be beating Dragon's Dogma tomorrow. I'm starting the new game, so I'm gonna talk about the new game then. Well, it currently looks like it's gonna be Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And with all that out of the way, I shall bring you the highlight of the week. Just maybe not the best, it's just whatever I feel like putting at the end of here. And this time it's gonna be the aforementioned Hellhound. I'm just gonna give you a bit of a taste on what it was like to meet those things out in the wild all of a sudden. So thank you very much for watching and enjoy the highlights. Damn you! Oh, I'm gonna die to these. These are strong. Yep, the game definitely gets tougher here. Oi! Let me go! Let me go! And then it escapes. Bugger. No! You can't do that! Jesus, Mary and Joseph.